This episode, we're going to learn about the story of the Wizard of VOC. VOC stands for volatile organic compounds or volatile organic chemicals. And we're again going to look at intersensor variability. The two white shell sensors, COCR and MNTC, have a photoionization detector in there, a PID, and it can pick up certain VOCs, and we're going to use isobutylene.
Forward! Tell me when it's over. Look at that! Look at that!
Who goes there? I am the Wizard of VOC. Tremble before me. Wait a minute. A dog, a girl, a robot, and a wicker man? I'm sorry, I think I'm in the wrong spot.
Okay, now I'm home. That's weird, my voice is different. Citizens of Ferez, as you know, I am the Wizard of VOC. We are going to test a volatile organic compound or volatile organic chemical monitor. And we will look for differences between the two monitors. We will inject isobutylene into the Ferez cube, and we will see what we get. Any questions, villains and citizens, and failed presidential candidates? Thank you. Till we meet again. I'm going to quick show you what we're working with here. So the TELUS air use sensor, the white shell sensor, has an AlphaSense PID, photoionization detector, 10.6 EV lamp, and this is the model that we have here, the AY5, which is a 0 to 20 parts per million range. TELUS gives a nice field calibration instructions here, and if you're going to do that, you're going to use isobutylene, which is the most common, I think, gas that is used to calibrate these PIDs. And so that's kind of what the PID is super accurate, supposed to be super accurate to the gas it's calibrated to. So I have isobutylene. So I'm not going to follow this particular instructions. Here we have, you can see this is where the PID sensor is, and they want it to hook up there, and then they give you this nice procedure, and I guess you will give them information and they will kind of calibrate it, keep it updated for you. I wanted to point out here in the AlphaSense manual here the response factors, and here you see isobutylene. It's a sensitivity of basically 1 to 1. That's the response factor, and that's because that's the gas that it's calibrated to. Now I have 100 parts per million cylinder of isobutylene, so as I mentioned, the sensor we have, the range is 0 to 20, so I'm going to inject a little bit into there, but I don't know. I don't know how I would calibrate this with 100 part per million test gas. It'd have to be a lesser strength, so to speak. All right, let's get going. All right, so I have here a 5 gas meter, and it's a 5 gas meter because it does have a PID on it, a VOC. This is a Honeywell BW Ultra. So this will be in there, and we'll be able to compare. All right, we have our isobutylene test gas cylinder, 100 parts per million.
Oop, don't want to drop that. And that will go into the cube here. So we're going to stick the hose. Alright, so the professor here is going to hold the hose. And we're going to have this one, the MNTC, it's going to be a little bit farther away. I got this fan going. I think I'm going to turn the fan off. Alright, so we are pretty much set. I'm going to introduce some of the gas and we'll see what happens. Alright, because this is a gas, I'm paying particular attention to tighten up the Ferris cube. And I'm about to introduce the gas. One nice thing about having this 5-gas meter in here is I can see what's being, I can see in real time here what's being introduced into the chamber, get an idea. Okay, so we finally have something on the 5-gas meter. I was running it for a while and nothing was showing up on the 5-gas meter. I went and looked inside and the TELUS monitors are definitely going up. The doctor is already passed out from the gas. I had no idea. There's a very little bit of gas that trickles out of that canister. So I'm going to keep it on for a while. I saw a discrepancy in the two dashboards. One is parts per million, one is parts per billion. Might have to clear that up. But as you see here now, we're definitely getting something. And I do see a big difference between the two monitors. Not a big difference, but the fact is that with such little trickling out, and this is a pretty big cube, I think this particular test is not going to look at differences between the sensors. I think we're just going to confirm that we can bump up the atmosphere in here. And I might have to find something else that gives off VOCs to test the intersensor. I might have to put them back closer together. But so far, we've got a increase, so that's good.
All right, I was just thinking too that the hose, usually there's a pump on the other end, the pump of the monitor pulling the gas through the hose from the cylinder. So it's just barely trickling out, I think. But you can see here the sensor that's closest to the hose, kind of in the middle there. We do see a nice elevation here, and a slight one with the MMTC. Now, one thing I'm pointing out here is this scale and for this dashboard is in parts per million, and so this is 1.61 parts per million. But when you go to this particular sensor on this dashboard, we've got parts per billion, and we see it going up here, 3.7 parts per billion. So there's a discrepancy here because 3.7 parts per billion is not even close to 1.61 parts per million. So I'm probably going to make two videos here. This will probably be the extent of this first video. I've confirmed that it will read because I haven't really seen much VOC so far in any place that I've been sampling at. So I'll try to play around with this, but I'm probably going to do for part 2 is try to get the contents closer to the sensor, maybe kind of entrap it a little bit, and so to get a higher concentration reading, and maybe get the two sensors together so I can compare them. Here we see it. We do see the jump as the isobutylene is introduced into the cube. So I just saw something interesting happen. The two sensors just switched. COCR is dropping, MNTC is rising. Not sure what that means. Here's the COCR dropping dramatically. And then let's check out the MNTC. I'm not too worried about the unit difference. I think they had to make an adjustment to the VOC calibration curve, and I think they probably updated the primary dashboard and not this one. But you see here, we did see MNTC climb a little bit, but now it's apparently reading. Now they're, this is very interesting, so I'm not sure. I'm going to kind of continue this on. I'll probably introduce some more gas and extend this test a little bit longer.
All right, so I've added another round of butylene, isobutylene, and gotten the direct read up to 1. Now this is 1 parts per million, so I trust the dashboard that says parts per million, not the one that says parts per billion. I think that's just a back of the house calculation problem. So this is kind of round 2 of injecting the isobutylene. And I'm going to figure out something to do the next time to kind of get maybe more of this test gas out. Or maybe find an alternative VOC that's not going to be isobutylene, but something that will give a stronger reading. All right, this has been a successful testing of the 2 sensors. We've introduced isobutylene and we do see the numbers go up. Pretty simple, but important test, and we learned something about the test gas.
All right, so here are the totality of the results, and it's not surprised their concentrations are different since they were in a different spot, and such little bit of gas was flowing into the box. But we see here a response, and we're going to have to regroup and try something different next time.
Fools! Don't you know that this is a 15 cubic foot cube, 425 liters, and the cylinder only gives off 0.5 liters per minute, requiring 14 hours of flow time to fill up the box? And did you know there's only 34 liters in that cylinder?
What difference at this point does it make?
Whoever planned this thing is an idiot. Wait a minute, ignore that.